Mom said Santa forgot us again. The boy told the lonely billionaire at the bus stop on Christmas. The bus stop smelled of cold iron and wet pavement, the kind of winter chill that crept through coats and into bones. Christmas Eve should have glowed with warmth, but here, under the flickering streetlight, it felt forgotten. Snow didn't fall gently. It drifted in tired, uneven flakes, as if even the sky had grown weary. A digital billboard across the street flashed a smiling family around a tree, their laughter frozen mid-frame, while the real world shivered beneath it. Elliot Crane stood apart from the few other figures waiting for the late-night bus. He wore a tailored wool coat that cost more than most people's rent, yet it did nothing to soften the hollow weight pressing against his chest. Billionaire. That word followed him like a shadow, impressive from a distance, meaningless up close. His driver had the night off, his penthouse was empty, his phone buzzed with holiday greetings drafted by assistants and sent by people who wanted something. He turned the screen face down and stared at the street, watching headlights smear into long, pale lines. That was when the boy spoke. Mom said Santa forgot us again. The voice was small, steady in a way that suggested practice, like a line repeated until it no longer surprised the speaker. Elliot looked down. The boy couldn't have been more than 7, bundled in a jacket 2 sizes too big, the cuffs swallowed by knitted gloves with a hole at the thumb. A red scarf wrapped his neck twice, frayed at the ends. Beside him sat a woman on the metal bench, shoulders hunched, her hands folded tight in her lap as if she were holding herself together by force alone. Elliot cleared his throat. "I'm sure Santa's just busy," he said, hating how thin the words sounded the moment they left his mouth. The boy shrugged. "He's busy every year," he replied, eyes fixed on the snow collecting on his shoes. "It's okay. Mom says forgetting is what happens when people have too many names to remember." The woman looked up then, startled, as if she hadn't realized her son had spoken out loud. Her eyes were tired but kind, the kind of kindness that had been tested and still refused to disappear. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "He doesn't mean to bother you." "It's no bother," Elliot said, surprised to find he meant it. "What's your name?" he asked the boy. "Lucas." The boy answered, "We're going to Grandma's. She lives far. Mom says the bus is cheaper than hope." The sentence landed between them with a quiet thud. Elliot felt something twist, something old and sharp. He glanced at the bus schedule. The next bus blinked delayed in dull orange letters. Of course it was. "You waiting long?" Elliot asked. "All day," the woman said softly before Lucas could answer. The earlier one broke down. "This is the last route tonight." A gust of wind rattled the shelter. Lucas shifted closer to his mother, and Elliot noticed the way she angled her body, instinctively blocking the cold from him. The boy reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper, creased so many times it was soft. "It's my list," Lucas explained, holding it up, "in case Santa comes late." Elliot almost smiled, almost, until he saw the words written in careful pencil: warm socks, a nightlight, a job for Mom. The streetlight flickered again, dimming the bus stop into shadow. Somewhere down the road, a siren wailed and then faded. Elliot felt the weight of the list settle in his chest, heavier than any balance sheet he'd ever seen. He didn't know it yet, but that piece of paper was about to change everything. And as the delayed sign blinked once more, Elliot realized the night wasn't done with him, not by a long shot. The bus still hadn't come. Minutes stretched into something heavier, thicker, as if time itself had slowed to listen. Elliot found himself seated on the far end of the bench now, not sure when he'd moved closer, only aware that the cold no longer felt like the sharpest thing pressing against him. Lucas swung his legs gently, heels tapping the metal in a soft rhythm. His mother watched the road, eyes scanning every passing pair of headlights, hope rising and falling with each one that wasn't a bus. Elliot studied them quietly. He'd built empires by reading people, investors, rivals, board members, but this was different. This wasn't negotiation or power, this was survival. My mom used to sing a lot, Lucas said suddenly, as if continuing a conversation only he remembered, at night, before what? Elliot asked. Before Dad got sick, the boy replied matter of fact, and before Santa started forgetting, the woman inhaled sharply, then exhaled through a tight smile. Lucas, she murmured, but there was no anger in it, only weariness. It's okay, Elliot said quickly. You don't have to know, she interrupted, surprising herself. She glanced at Lucas, then back at Elliot. It's fine. He doesn't understand why some things change. I barely do myself. Her name was Mara. She told him in pieces, like fragments she wasn't sure were safe to hand over all at once. Her husband had been a mechanic, strong hands, steady work. Then came the diagnosis, the long hospital nights, the bills that stacked higher than hope ever could. When he died, the world didn't stop, it sped up, demanding rent, food, bus fare. Explanations Lucas was too young to ask for, and too old not to feel. I work 2 jobs, she said quietly. Cleaning offices at night, stocking shelves early morning. Christmas Eve was the only day both places closed early. I thought, maybe we'd get there without trouble. Elliot nodded, though his mind was elsewhere. He remembered his own childhood Christmases, not poor, but empty in a different way. A mansion full of lights, a tree taller than most houses, gifts stacked high, his parents shaking hands with donors while he unwrapped toys alone. Forgotten in plain sight, Lucas tugged at his mother's sleeve. It's okay, Mom, he said. Grandma says Christmas can come late, like buses. Mara laughed softly, the sound breaking just at the end. Your grandma says a lot of things. She says miracles like to travel slow, so people don't miss them. Lucas added. Elliot felt something stir, uncomfortable and unfamiliar. Miracles. He'd stopped believing in them somewhere between his first million and his first divorce. Success had taught him one lesson well. Nothing came unless you took it. Yet here was a child who still believed things arrived exactly when they were meant to. A car sped past, splashing slush onto the curb. Mara flinched, then checked her phone. The battery icon glowed red. If this bus doesn't come soon, she began, then stopped herself. We'll figure it out. Elliot looked at the road again, then at Lucas's folded list, still clutched in his mittened hand. He imagined the boy handing it to Santa, imagined the look on his own face if someone had asked him for something so small and so impossibly large at the same time. Down the street, headlights appeared, larger, slower, unmistakable. Lucas straightened. Is that it? He whispered. The bus approached, then veered past the stop without slowing. Mara's shoulders sagged. And in that moment, Elliot realized waiting was no longer an option. The bus disappeared into the distance, its red tail lights shrinking like a promise broken too many times to count. The shelter fell silent again, except for the hum of the streetlight and the soft sniff Lucas tried, and failed, to hide. He turned his face into his scarf, but a tear slipped free anyway, freezing against his cheek before he could wipe it away. Mara stood abruptly, as if motion alone might keep her from collapsing. It's okay, she said, too quickly, too brightly. We'll ask inside the station. Maybe there's another route. Elliot followed her gaze to the glass, fronted transit office across the street. The lights inside were dim, the door half closed. A sign hung crookedly, closed holiday hours. Beneath it, smaller letters read, for emergencies, return tomorrow, Christmas Day. Lucas read it too. Mom, he asked quietly, does tomorrow mean Grandma's Christmas will be over? Mara swallowed. No, sweetheart, Christmas isn't a day, it's a feeling. Lucas nodded, accepting the answer the way children do when they sense the truth might hurt more than the words. Elliot felt an unexpected sting behind his eyes. He'd spent a lifetime chasing feelings, achievement, victory, control, and here was one he'd ignored entirely. A group of people approached the stop, laughing loudly, arms full of shopping bags and wrapped presents. One of them, a man in a bright red knit hat, paused when he saw Mara standing with her son. "Bus already leave?" he asked, glancing at his watch. "Yes," Mara replied. "They didn't stop." The man grimaced. "That's rough. Christmas Eve too." He hesitated, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a couple of crumpled bills. "For a taxi, maybe." Mara's face flushed. "Thank you, but..." Before she could finish, another woman in the group tugged at the man's sleeve. "We're late," she whispered sharply. "They'll be waiting." The man looked apologetic, embarrassed even, as if generosity itself had inconvenienced him. He shoved the bills back into his pocket. "Sorry," he muttered, already turning away. Lucas watched them go, his expression unreadable. Elliot saw the moment lodge itself inside the boy. The lesson that help sometimes appears and vanishes just as quickly, leaving you feeling smaller for having hoped. Mara sank back onto the bench. Her shoulders trembled once before she forced them still. "I shouldn't have brought him," she said, more to herself than anyone else. "I should have known better." "You didn't do anything wrong," Elliot said firmly. She looked at him then, really looked at him, eyes sharp with something like pride bruised into pain. "You don't understand," she said. "People look at you differently when you're like this, waiting, asking, even when you don't say a word." Elliot did understand. Not this exact shape of it, but he knew humiliation. He'd seen it in boardrooms when a man realized his company was being dismantled piece by piece. He'd felt it when headlines turned from praise to ridicule. But this was quieter, crueler. This was dignity eroding in public, grain by grain. A security guard stepped out of the station, keys jangling. "You folks can't stay here," he said, not unkindly but without room for argument. "Shelter closes at midnight." "It's not even 10, Mara protested weakly. "Orders." The guard shrugged. "I'm sorry." Lucas stood, clutching his list tighter. Snow began to fall harder now, thick and relentless. Elliot looked at the boy, then at Mara, then back at the empty road. For the first time in years, he felt something close to anger, not at the world in general, but at himself, because he realized he could walk away. And the question that followed, whether he would, hung heavier than the falling snow, pulling him toward a choice he could no longer ignore. They stepped away from the shelter together, though no one had asked Elliot to follow. It simply felt wrong not to. The wind cut sharper out in the open, pushing snow sideways into their faces. Mara pulled Lucas close, whispering something into his ear that made him nod. Brave in the way only children who have learned early can be. They stopped near the edge of the lot, under a bare tree strung with a single broken ornament, left over from some forgotten decoration. It swung gently, clinking against the branch like a fragile heartbeat. "I can call a cab," Elliot offered, reaching for his phone. Mara shook her head. "I checked already. Holiday rates. Even if one answers." She didn't finish. Numbers lived in her head the way fear did now, quick and precise. Lucas looked up at Elliot. "Are you rich?" he asked suddenly. Mara gasped. "Lucas, I'm so sorry." "It's okay," Elliot said, surprised by his own smile. "Yes, I guess I am." Lucas considered this carefully. "Like Santa rich." Elliot almost laughed, but the sound caught in his throat. "Not that rich." Lucas nodded, satisfied. "Santa never comes either." Mara crouched in front of her son, brushing snow from his lashes. "Lucas, go stand by the tree for a second, okay?" she said softly. "I need to talk." The boy obeyed, humming a tune under his breath, something that might once have been a Christmas carol. "I won't take your money," Mara said the moment he was out of earshot. Her voice was low but steady. "If that's what you're thinking." "I wasn't." "Yes, you were," she replied gently. "People always are, and I appreciate it, truly. But I don't want him to learn that strangers fix everything. I want him to believe in himself, in us." Elliot nodded, chastened. "I understand." But even as he said it, he felt the lie. He didn't understand how anyone survived without accepting help. His world ran on leverage and favors, on debts paid forward or back with interest. Refusing help felt like refusing air. Lucas returned, holding the broken ornament. "It fell," he said, "but it's still shiny." Mara smiled at him, eyes wet. "Just like us," she whispered. The guard watched them from the doorway, uncomfortable now, as if their quiet endurance accused him of something. Snow piled higher. Cars thinned. The city seemed to exhale, preparing for a night of warmth that did not include them. Elliot felt the weight of his empty penthouse, the silence waiting for him. He imagined Mara and Lucas finding a bench somewhere, waiting until morning, pretending cold was temporary. The image made his chest ache. "What if it's not money?" he asked suddenly. "What if it's a ride?" Mara hesitated. "Your driver, I don't have one tonight." She studied him, searching for pity, for strings, for something hidden. "Why?" she asked. Elliot looked at Lucas, at the list peeking from his pocket. "Because I don't want to be alone," he said honestly. Snow fell between them, soft and heavy. Mara closed her eyes, just for a second, then opened them again. "Okay," she said, "one ride." Elliot felt relief, and something else, something like fear, because the moment he agreed, he sensed this night was no longer about getting them home. As they started toward the street, Lucas slipped his small hand into Elliot's without asking. And somewhere deep inside, a door Elliot thought was permanently locked began to creak open. Elliot's car waited at the curb like a misplaced creature from another world, its dark windows reflecting falling snow and blinking streetlights. Lucas stopped short when he saw it, eyes wide, as if the vehicle itself might bite. "Is this yours?" he asked, awe creeping into his voice. Elliot nodded. "Just a car." Lucas shook his head solemnly. "Cars like this only belong to people in movies." Mara hesitated again, her hand tightening around her son's shoulder. For a moment, Elliot thought she might change her mind. Pride and fear wrestled across her face, and he understood. Accepting this ride felt like crossing a line you couldn't uncross. "It's warm," Elliot said quietly. "That's all." That did it. Mara opened the door, ushering Lucas inside. Heat wrapped around them instantly, fogging the windows. Lucas laughed, a short, surprised sound, pressing his hands against the vents like he was afraid the warmth might vanish if he didn't hold it in place. "Feels like Santa's workshop," he said. Elliot slid into the driver's seat, the leather unfamiliar under his hands tonight. As he pulled away from the curb, the bus stop shrank behind them, swallowed by snow and shadow. For the first time all evening, the road ahead looked open. "Where's Grandma's?" Elliot asked. Mara gave him the address. He entered it into the navigation system, and then froze. The route recalculated twice, then displayed a red warning. "Road, closed weather conditions. What does that mean?" Lucas asked, peering forward. Elliot forced a calm tone. "It means we'll take another way." But the system kept blinking, rerouting them in widening circles. Side streets were blocked, bridges restricted. The storm was tightening its grip quietly, efficiently. Mara saw it on his face. "We're not going to make it, are we?" Elliot didn't answer right away. He remembered something then, something he hadn't thought about in years. His childhood home, the estate outside the city, empty now, kept by staff who wouldn't be there tonight. It had power generators. "Heat, space, you could come with me," he said suddenly, "just for the night." The words hung in the air, heavy and dangerous. Mara stiffened. "No, not like that," Elliot said quickly. "Just a place to stay until morning, no strings." Lucas leaned forward between the seats. "A house?" he asked. "With stairs?" "Yes." Elliot smiled faintly. "With stairs. And lights." "With lights." Lucas grinned, then stopped himself, glancing at his mother, careful not to hope too hard. Mara shook her head slowly. "We don't belong in places like that." Elliot pulled the car to the side of the road, hazard lights flashing softly in the snow. "Mara," he said, turning to face her, "belonging is overrated. Being safe isn't." She looked out the window, jaw tight. "I don't even know your last name." "Crane," he said. "Elliot Crane." Her breath caught. She knew the name, everyone did, the headlines, the fortune. The distance between their worlds suddenly felt enormous, absurd. "You're him," she whispered. Elliot nodded once. "Tonight, I'm just a guy with a warm house and an empty table." Lucas reached into his pocket and unfolded his list, smoothing it carefully. He looked up at Elliot, eyes bright and serious. "Santa might be late," he said, "but maybe he sent you." Mara closed her eyes, and as the snow fell harder around the idling car, Elliot realized this wasn't a detour anymore, it was a crossing. One that would cost all of them more than they were ready to give. The gates opened slowly, iron whispering against snow as Elliot guided the car up the long, curved drive. Lucas pressed his face to the window, breath fogging the glass, counting the lights that lined the path like cautious stars. Mara sat stiff beside him, hands folded tight in her lap, every instinct warning her that places like this came with rules she didn't know how to follow. The house rose out of the white like something unreal, all warm, glowing from every window. It should have felt welcoming. Instead, it felt heavy, as if it carried the echoes of too many lonely winters. Inside, heat wrapped around them again, stronger this time, scented faintly with pine and polish. The entry hall was vast and quiet. Their footsteps sounded too loud. "Do you live here alone?" Lucas asked, his voice echoing. "Yes," Elliot replied. "Always." Elliot hesitated for a long time. Mara removed Lucas's coat, folding it carefully, as though neatness might protect them. "We won't take much space," she said. "Just somewhere to sit until morning." Elliot nodded, leading them toward the living room. A massive tree stood there, decorated perfectly and untouched. Presents sat beneath it, wrapped and labeled, never opened. Corporate gifts, obligations, nothing with a name that mattered. Lucas stared. "It's beautiful," he whispered. Elliot felt a familiar ache. "It's quiet." Before anyone could say more, the sharp trill of a doorbell cut through the room. All three of them froze. Elliot frowned. No one ever came unannounced, especially not tonight. "I'll check," he said, though his pulse had already quickened. When he opened the door, cold rushed in along with a man in a pressed coat and a woman clutching a clipboard. "Security and optics," dressed as courtesy. "Mr. Crane," the man said smoothly, "we've been trying to reach you. The board is concerned. Your location went dark. Reporters are asking questions about your canceled appearance tonight." Elliot stepped outside, pulling the door nearly shut behind him. Snow dusted his hair as the man lowered his voice. "This isn't the night for distractions. The Foundation Gala was important." "Important to who?" Elliot snapped. The woman glanced past him, eyes narrowing as she caught sight of Mara and Lucas through the glass. Her expression changed, calculating, "Is there a situation we should manage?" Inside, Mara sensed it immediately. She stood, guiding Lucas behind her, every muscle tightening. She'd seen that look before. The look that decided who was acceptable and who was a problem. Lucas peeked around her leg. "Mom," he whispered, "are we in trouble?" "No," she said, though her voice trembled. "We're just guests." The door opened again. Elliot stepped back inside, his face set. "You need to leave," he told them firmly. "Sir," the man said, lowering his voice. "This could be misunderstood." "Good," Elliot replied. "Let it be." The door closed. Silence rushed back in, louder than before. Mara exhaled shakily. "We should go," she said. "I don't want to cause you problems." Elliot looked at her, really looked. "You didn't cause them," he said. "They've been waiting for me for years." Lucas walked to the tree, touching one ornament gently. "My dad used to say," he murmured, "that the scariest thing isn't being poor. It's being alone when it matters." Elliot felt the words land like a verdict. Outside, headlights flared again at the gate. Another car arriving. And this time, Elliot knew whatever came next would force him to choose which life he was truly willing to protect. The headlights at the gate lingered, then slowly turned away, retreating down the long drive as if whatever had come looking for Elliot Crane had decided this house was no longer open for business. Silence returned, not the empty, echoing silence Elliot knew so well, but a softer one, filled with breathing, with presence. with the fragile sense that something important was happening and should not be rushed. Elliot locked the door. The sound was small, final. Mara watched him, understanding dawning in her eyes. "You didn't have to do that," she said. "I know," Elliot replied. "That's why I did." Lucas had curled up on the rug near the tree, the warmth finally winning over exhaustion. His list lay unfolded beside him. Elliot picked it up carefully, reading the words again. Warm socks, a nightlight, a job for Mom. He swallowed. "You don't need to sleep on the floor," Mara said softly. "He'll wake soon." Elliot smiled faintly. Let him sleep. It's been a long night. Later, they sat at the long dining table, the one built for 12, but rarely used for more than one. Elliot reheated soup that had been prepared days ago and never touched. They ate quietly, not out of awkwardness, but respect for the night, for what it had already taken and what it might still give. "I used to think being strong meant never needing anyone," Elliot said at last. "Turns out it just made me very good at being alone." Mara nodded. "I thought being strong meant never accepting help," she said. "Maybe that made me tired." They shared a small smile. Somewhere between them, something healed. Near dawn, Lucas stirred. His eyes fluttered open, confusion turning quickly to wonder as he took in the glowing tree, the room, the soft light outside the windows. "Mom," he whispered. "Did Santa come?" Mara hesitated. Elliot knelt beside him. "He did," he said gently, "but he didn't bring everything." Lucas frowned. "He forgot?" Elliot shook his head. "No, he figured out something better. He brought people who remind each other how not to forget." Lucas considered this, then reached into his pocket and handed Elliot the list. "You can keep it," he said, "in case you see him again." Elliot folded the paper carefully, placing it in his jacket pocket like something sacred. By morning, the storm had softened, roads reopened, the world began moving again, unaware of the quiet miracle that had unfolded overnight. Elliot drove them to Grandma's himself. When they arrived, the door flew open before they could knock. There were tears, laughter, arms wrapped tight. Elliot stood back, invisible and full all at once. Before leaving, Mara took his hand. "This doesn't mean you have to save us," she said. "I know," Elliot replied. "But I'd like to help, if you'll let me." She nodded. "We'll let each other." As Elliot drove away, the city looked different, sharper, kinder, like something remembered. And somewhere in his pocket, a small folded list whispered a truth he would never forget. Sometimes, the greatest gift isn't what you give on Christmas, it's who you choose not to leave behind.